Now here's some gold from Molly.
Well, thank you, Gavin. In fact, it's silver. It's been such a week. I think I'm still a bit phased. Parramatta winning the grand final in Sydney, Hawthorn winning it in Melbourne, and of course that great victory by Australia too on early Tuesday morning with the America's Cup. And we've got a dreadful admission to make, Alan Bond. We've nicked the cup. We really have. Here it is here, and we're not going to give it back. We reckon that if you're going to have all those defenders coming across here, then Countdown should cover the whole thing. Get the total exclusive rights. No, only joking. This was in fact mocked up by two of our prop makers, Nick Helios and Terry Barrow, and they did that on Tuesday afternoon to celebrate our victory of the America's Cup. It's a little beauty, and it's going to stay right here. Meanwhile, the other one is going back to Perth, and Perth are just so delighted. All right, back onto the charts. Let's have a look at the UK Top 5. Hey! All right, at number 5, Genesis with Mama. It drops this week. Come Back and Stay, the new one from Paul Young at number 4. Still a great song, still a great singer. Tonight I celebrate my love, Roberta Flack, Peabo Bryson at number 3. Number 2, Red Red Wine, UB40 drops 1 place, but their album went to number 1, Labour of Love, on the UK charts. Number 2 this week, though. And at number 1, predicted this last week, Karma Chameleon, Culture Club, more about them later, at the number 1 spot. Oh boy. All right, listen, it's been such a week, as I say, but I guess the America's Cup being ours now, we're so proud of Australia too, and all those who are associated with it. I guess there was a lot of parties, and I guess the champagne around Australia sold out. Well, that's not the only thing selling out, because there are 3 records that were written about the America's Cup by Australians, and they're going crazy. Let's have a look at them and check out the 4th as well. All right, the first is, of course, Glen Shorrock. And Glen, who is currently in America promoting his new solo single, Don't Girls Get Lonely, which is at number 86 this week on the US charts, could very well have a top 5 overnight hit on the Oz charts with his America's Cup single titled We're Coming to Get Ya. Well, we did. This record has already sold by Friday 25,000 copies with a back order of over 20,000. Glen, who has spent a lot of time in Newport, Rhode Island, is also currently working on a television special about the America's Cup for one of the commercial stations. Good on you, Glen. Go, boy. Oh, look at Australia too there. Woo! Well, that's the first in the charts that you should expect to see rocketing in next week. The second is Alan Caswell, who is one of Australia's most respected folk singers, and for 3 years had dominated the awards at Tamworth Country Music Festival, looks set to have a hit on his hands with this witty little song entitled The Australia's Cup. He's already number 8 in Sydney and is at number 28 on the national top 50. On the Tuesday of Australia's victory, his record sold over 8,000 copies, and by lunchtime it had sold out across the country. Since then, his record company have desperately tried to keep up with the pressings. Great song. All right, the third is the Two-Man Band. The Two-Man Band are well known for their sporting songs, and the group, who are Mike Brady and singer-songwriter Peter Sullivan, are responsible for the huge VFL song Up There Kenneally. They followed this up with another football song One Day in September. We're Gonna Grab That Cup is just beginning to notch up sales, and they've sold over 7,000 copies on Tuesday, and they've notched up a lot of back orders. So there they are, the Two-Man Band and Men at Work. Well, Men at Work have already had a huge hit with Down Under, have sold in this country alone 87,000 copies of the single, could next week be on the verge of notching up another milestone within the Australian music industry, with the song crashing back into the Australian charts. Down Under, which was the unofficial theme song for the crew of Australia 2, had almost died in sales, and before the Cup they were only selling around about 55 copies per week. In the 6 days since the win, Down Under has sold a staggering amount of 9,500 copies, and that's amazing. Their album, Business As Usual, which had notched up sales of 318,000 copies and was at the stage last week selling only 850 copies per week, has sold in the last 6 days 10,000 copies. That's incredible. Look at John Bertrand and his wife. Look at that guy going crazy with the champagne. Well, there you go. You can watch out for all of these crashing onto the Countdown National Top 50, not next week, but the week after. I think they'll all go into the top 10. And there's one other record that, in fact, has caused a bit of interest since the America's Cup, and that's Rose Tattoo with We Can't Be Beaten. And when you really listen to that song, it really does sum it up. And back to Men at Work, I did say last week there was a rumour going around that Greg Ham might be splitting from the group. Well, they have definitely denied that. They said, you're talking rubbish. I said, I didn't make up the rumour, for goodness sake. But however, there is a rumour now going around that B. Birtles may leave LRB. went around the traps about 4 or 5 weeks ago, but it now looks a little more definite. So, Beeb, who knows? And John Farnham's got a solo album coming out, so what about LRB? All right, let's go and have a look at the US Top 5 for this week. I'm a rumour monger. She's 16. Oh, she's sexy and 17. The Stray Cats at number 4. 5. At number 4, I'm getting confused. Making Love Out of Nothing at All, Air Supply. Number 3, Safety Dance, Men Without Hats. Number 2, Tell Her About It, Billy Joel. And at number 1, she's finally done it. Total Eclipse of the Heart, Bonnie Tyler. That means she's had a number 1 here in England and now in America. So there they are for this week, the US Top 5. Sorry about getting confused there, but when I start spreading these sort of rumours or, start saying them, I get a little bit nervous. Well, look, as you know, rock and roll is more than just music. It relies on fashion, video, hairstyles, you name it. So we decided we'd get a couple of experts together to bring you this special report. Hopefully they'll be with us every week. Here they are, Tim and Debbie.
Hi, I'm Debbie Wilson.
I'm Tim McTonada.
Which I don't know if you know, but Tim and I do a really amazing segment called Brainspace on ABC 9 o'clock Wednesday nights. Right. Which Ian is so impressed with.
I don't know if you know this, but Ian is the real name of Molly.
Excellent,
Hi,
excellent.
Ian.
Hi, Ian. Which Ian has commissioned Tim and I to present this Countdown Brainspace special report, hair, past, present, future and to come. Tim.
A lot of people don't realise, Debbie, that hair is really crucial because it's so close to your brain space, right? And its expression
of your personal growth.
Wow. Well, Malcolm McLaren, right? And also, a lot of other people don't realise that people really didn't start listening to what they had to say until bulk eons ago in the early 60s, right? And when hair just began to spontaneously sprout forth as an expression of a protest against society. But, like, people just let their hair become messy and tangled and incoherent, which is what happened to their brains, right?
Excellent. I take my own personal head.
It's an excellent head.
To a really amazing head shop, which I don't know if you know, but head shops used to be called hairdressing salons in the Dark Ages, which this head shop is called Lawrence of Italy, and it's just amazing because, Lawrence is an amazing guy.
I know Lawrence. He's an amazing
guy. He treats each follicle as an individual. In the personal growth industry.
Right.
And therefore, he really knows where my head is at.
Right, which is just crucial if you're a hairdresser, right?
Tim, he's not a hairdresser.
He's not a hairdresser.
He's a hair technician.
He's
I've told you that is an important
He's a hair technician, which is an important distinction which I'm making, and which is why I've got an appointment with Lawrence on Monday for a grease and oil change, right?
Excellent.
Debbie, I just had an amazing flash, right?
Wow, freaked me out,
I don't know if you know, but insects don't have hair.
I know,
they have these things. They have these things called antennas, right? And like the other day, I saw this amazing slug with its antennas out, and it was just blissed out on this amazing drain pipe.
Wow.
I'm sure it must have been tuned in to Return to Eden or something.
Wow.
Excellent.
That's amazing, Tim. I mean, Lawrence must really relate to slugs because Lawrence has this amazing theory, right? That each hair is in fact an antennae to the brain.
Excellent.
And he's working on this amazing personal head style for me personally.
Wow.
In which he's going to align each and every one of my hairs so that I can perhaps receive cosmic transmissions.
Wow. Rock around the universe, right?
Intergalactic drift.
Excellent.
Wow, freak me out.
Beam me up, Basia. Wow,
just
excellent. Amazing.
I hope that Tim and I have been able to convince you, I'm sure we have, to make a commitment to more intelligent head styles, right? We'll wrap with you at a further time when our brain spaces and your video spaces coincide. Till then, we'll check you later.
Before we actually go, Debbie, Ian, Molly, has enjoyed our segment so much, he's asked me personally to do an intro to the next video pop clip, which is coming. If you don't mind, Debbie.
I don't
this
mind.
is by a band of guys who wear hats because their hair's just got nothing to say, right? No offence, Ian. Molly, Ian is his real name. And it's called Popcorn Love by New Edition. Check this out. Check it later.
I didn't mind.
No, you can do an intro sometime if Ian likes your work, if he feels you're up to doing a pop clip intro.